Now, the ukulele is a really handy instrument to have around, not just for learning, which is obviously a good thing, especially for children because of the small neck, get their fingers round and make some chords, but also it's a really useful instrument to have in your studio. And this film is going to be divided into two bits, really. What I'm going to do first is to show you some chords on the uke, and then I'm going to use the guitar and the uke together, and you can hear how it can really integrate into any situation. So, this ukulele, this is a 1950s banjo uke, so it's got like a drum head, like a banjo, but really anything can be, any ukulele, you know, is absolutely fine. And if you look at the web address above my head at the moment, you can find some really decent electric ukuleles that are all handmade, and you can see that video on my channel, Felix Ukuleles UK. So, to the chords then. I'm going to show you 4 chords, but I'm actually going to show you a 5th one as well. But first of all, C. You put your annular finger onto the 3rd fret on the 1st string. The strings are numbered 1 to 4. Starting at the bottom, you've got 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, which is the closest one to you. Now these chords will work on a soprano uke like this, or they'll work on a tenor one where this string is actually an octave lower. Instead of la, it's la, and it just makes it a slightly deeper sound, but any of the chords will work on both of those ukes. So C. Then we've got a G chord. Now this, what you do is you put your middle finger on the 2nd fret on the 1st string, your index finger on the 3rd string, but on the same fret as your middle finger, so you end up with 2 in a line like this, and then your annular finger goes between them but on the 3rd fret, so we end up with this. So C to G. You could try going between those ones to start off with. It's often useful to think of the transitions between the chords to make the process of building them much easier. So we've got C, then your annular finger moves up 1 space, and then you put your other 2 fingers for G. So we've got C and G so far. C and G. Next chord, A minor. Now, that is literally your middle finger only on the 2nd fret on the 4th string, so the string closest to you, and then everything else slightly out of tune there. There we go, there's A minor. So C, G, A minor. Now once you have A minor, F is much easier because you just add your index finger on the 1st fret 2nd string, and there's your F. So A minor to F is actually a very easy transition, you're just adding a finger. So C, G, A minor and F. Now that 5th chord that I was telling you about just now, that's E minor, which is this. It's a run of, it's like a diagonal sort of shape where you get 2nd fret on the 1st string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, 4th fret on the 3rd string. So you end up with a diagonal line going across the neck, and then the other string is left open. So you've got E minor. So that's E minor. That wasn't really part of the chord sequence that I was showing you just now, the C, G, A minor, F. But you can play that Over the Rainbow cover with this. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. So you can do that as well, which is the reason I showed you E minor. So you've actually got 5 chords here. So C, G, A minor and F. Now with the right hand here, I'm just using my thumb to get a sort of mellow sound here, but you could use your right hand to brush over the strings with your fingernails as well to get a brighter sound. So there's just the thumb, and then get a bit more bite, like that, with your fingers, fingernails. C, G, A minor, and F. You could do finger picking. You could do that sort of thing as well. But really, with ukulele, it's usually about getting that real good, strong rhythm, just to really, really underlie that sort of beat. Now, there are lots and lots of chords that you could play on the ukulele, some of which can be derived from the chords that you've already learnt. So C, for example, is that. Now, some people would play D with 3 fingers together like this and leaving the first string open. So you try and get all 3 of your fingers into the same fret. And when you've got North Dorset fingers like this, it's hard. There is a solution. C and D. C and D are a step apart, or 2 half steps. And a half step is the same as a fret on your ukulele. So C, I could move everything up by 2 frets, so that I've now got a finger that goes across all 4, and then my last finger, or my annular finger. So I can move that shape up 2 frets and I get D. If I move another 2 frets, I get E. However, it starts getting a bit high up when you try and bar these chords up here. And then, of course, with this ukulele, it's not quite in tune with itself. So, and the problem will get worse the higher up you go with the frets. So C and D, E, and then F, you can either do like that, or you could do your open shape. So you've actually got 2 choices. So you can create a rhythm that's got 2 chords that are the same, but formed in slightly different ways. So I'm going to use my trusty multi-track machine now to record some guitars and then put some ukulele over the top, and you can hear what the uke will add to some acoustic guitar tracks. So I'm just going to play those 4 chords that I went through earlier, the C, the G, the A minor and the F. And you can hear what it can add. So I'm going to record one guitar part first and then play back other parts over the top. Okay, so there's my first part. Now I'm going to record another part along with that while listening to the first one. Ideally I should be doing this with headphones, but this is just a rough thing so that you can hear it. And then play back other parts over the top. So, the reason I recorded those 2 guitars is that you can flip one onto the left and one onto the right. If you're listening on headphones, this effect is much, much more pronounced. So that's the reason I would record 2 guitars, for example, is just to pan them left and right for a nice stereo effect. So, for the third track then, I'm going to record the chords back on the uke. So I'll just switch that next track on. For those interested, I'm using a Fostex D-160 multi-tracker, which is quite old now, but works brilliantly. It's really good. So, here we go. Here's the third track. Now, of course, setting up the uke. This uke is not extremely in tune with itself. It does need a little bit of adjustment. You can hear that there were differences between this and this. But in a world of digital samples and A equaling 440.0000 hertz, sometimes the tuning is not such a problem. You know, if you can get it a little bit closer. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to record that track again, and hopefully it'll be a bit closer to the guitar. So there we go, that was a bit better. Now I'm going to record a second uke part. So again, with the guitars I can pan these left and right. So I'll just go back to the beginning of that, and here we go. Play back other parts over the top. Now, all of that may be cemented. If you've got slight tuning things going on, maybe you could add a bass to it. So I'm just going to play this back. Now, I'm not going to record the bass, I'm just going to play it so that you can hear that it can be all cemented by a bass instrument. Play back other parts over the top. Now the ukulele really has added quite a lot of mid-range to the mix. Very often in a mix, people sort of fantasize, they sort of prioritize rather on it being all crisp at the top and no hiss or noise or anything, and then sorting out the bass end, making sure it's not too muddy. But very often the mid-range is quite sort of, not sadly lacking, but it's often thought of a bit less. So it's nice to have something like this that can really fill a gap that actually does need filling. So there we go, a 1950s mass-produced British ukulele like this really can be of immense use in your studio.